Well, I'm thinking about like reports that matter. So
Okay.
you brought it up earlier. I was like, you know what? This is a good study hall because um, there's as much, I think, that's as valuable as learning how the report mechanism works in Salesforce. I mean, ultimately, people think that they run the report. They think that's how a report works. It's not how it works. Reports work first with understanding. You brought it up earlier. Whoops, there we go. Because the YouTube's got to open. I can make sure it's going. So reports have more to do with what you do outside of Salesforce than what you do inside of Salesforce. How is that possible, Chen? What do you think I mean by that?
My understanding is that reports should answer questions about what you like, about questions that you might have from the data. So like, you might have all these close opportunities, all these contracts in your Salesforce, but you need to know, but you want to know which one's expiring, which ones to renew, or what your salespeople are up to. They answer those kind of questions.
Right. So I'm going to say something. Reports only answer one kind of question. There's only one question that reports answer. And that is, what do I do now? What do I do? Right? It's when we talk about automation, right? Automation's all about data meeting a certain criteria that then triggers a flag to fire off something to do. So the data we would get from a report should trigger a specific set of behaviors that we can point to. And that data tells us what to do next. What should I do now? What's next? And I don't think a lot of people do. Do you think how many people relate to reports that way?
I don't know a lot. I think a lot of people relate to reports like just like a spreadsheet of like contacts or accounts.
Yeah, like a bank account, like a knowledge bank. It tells me what's next? What do I do now? It should, and if it doesn't, then the question is, why are you looking at that report? What question are you hoping to satisfy? Because whether my people are working or not, you got to walk around to look at that. I mean, if they're not working, how would you know if the report is you're only getting some of the data? Or maybe, it takes as long as maybe they are working, but it takes as long as it takes to put in just that amount of information. You think they're not working. So how the report data is interpreted is the thing you ought to start with to have reports be meaningful and actually drive your organization for better data. So that if the what's next is always the wrong thing, right? If I think what's next is wrong, if I don't get any brain candy from doing the thing that's the report says is next, then that report's not useful to me, right? But let me say it this way. If I don't get brain candy, then I got a brain turd, and I got to flush the turd. That's my new productivity model, by the way. What it means is, it said to call this person. They have a question about Salesforce. Then I call them, and somebody had already called them, but didn't update the data. So I didn't get the satisfaction of doing the right next thing, right? Because somebody else. So that pissed offness if you'll pay attention to it and let it use you and motivate you, will have you go to the person who edited the record before and say, hey, dude, you didn't, they said you talked to that person and you didn't update the record. So you wasted my time. Now I'm wasting my time and your time to tell you to stop wasting my time. But that's peer pressure. That'll drive better data. But if you don't have it mapped out and a report's just like, oh, we're sad, we report, we don't know what to do. Like, then you're not going to do anything about the report. You won't trust the report. So early on in the beginning, what I see happen a lot of times too is early on in the beginning of implementation, what happens is people were trained to go to reports to tell them what's next in an older system. They go to the new system, the data is different. It's a whole different system. So the reports are different. The meaning making mechanism that they had in the old system was never rewired to train for the new system. They immediately look at the report and go, I don't know what to do next. This is useless. And now all of your work that you put in to present this beautiful, wonderful system has become useless.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I should have taught my managers how to think about how we reflect data to represent behaviors, and the gaps tell us what to do next. They never talked about that in reports. I've never been tasked with delivering a training class around reports that answer the question, why are you looking at a report?
Right. Right. There's definitely that. There's definitely reporting that can influence better data and better record keeping. It's like, especially if you think about commissions, especially, commissions are paid out at a certain stage from like people who develop leads from marketing.
Those are the reports that people use.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that people give a crap about. Say,
Yeah.
hey man, whoa. The report says you owe me this amount of money. So give me what the report says. Immediately, the report is the source of truth. Your paycheck was $117.42. The report said $300. The report is right. You're wrong. Nothing else matters. The report's got to be, and if the report's left in the check, they'd be like, well, clearly the report's wrong, but I'm going to go with it. So is that reconciling the reports? So you got to
those
give
are
me
the reports people care about for sure. Especially
Well,
like, those are the fields they care about, the ones that will trigger, like the source, the lead source.
You want to correct your sales data, make Salesforce produce the commission report. And if the commission is wrong, the commission's like, make it zero. Like if the data's not in, the commission's always zero.
Yeah,
Like,
instead of like letting finance do it, because then everybody will keep
Yeah, don't let finance and HR get in charge, get involved. Like it's got to be, it's got to be sales, and then the sales managers split the bonus that the salespeople don't get, and that'll piss off the salespeople. And then the salespeople will be like, "Well, wait a minute, you get the commission if I don't fill out my paperwork right?" Like, yes, sir, thank you, keep it up.
Well, I think that'll get the foot really fast. It's probably better if no one gets the commission.
Oh no, you got to give somebody you got to give that a-hole. You got to have an asshole in the office that's gonna
maybe give it to the charity fund. Maybe you have like a cause.
Wait, not in sales. Cause. Maybe in the developer team, but IT, but not sales. Sales has to be cutthroat. You cannot create a cutthroat sales team and have a sissy IT built Salesforce. Can't do it. It won't. You wonder why it doesn't work. Nobody with the sales balls designs the reports that people need.
Yeah, they don't design the layouts, the automations, or anything that the people need in their development processes and keep up with the sales teams' needs usually.
You need a better microphone. That's what you need.
Well, I'm just using my laptop and it's terrible, I know.
It's a horrible microphone.
It is horrible.
Horrible. Hey, do you have AirPods yet? You have AirPods?
No, I don't have AirPods.
Yes, she does.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about those. Sorry, Patrick.
You could tune your laptop to your AirPods if you have a Bluetooth enabled.
I think it is, and I have it already connected, but I don't think it's charged.
Right. So, you brought up you brought up an interesting rant that I had. I had an interesting rant there to say that, when the idea you're a good person, Chen, right? You're a good person. That's how, like, your first thought was, if the salesperson's not going to get their commission, you thought, let's give it to charity. Let's do something good with it. My mind went to, hell no, it goes to whoever's going to be the data Nazi and make sure that they get the money and not help, right? Like that, you need that. That's on a sales team. I think we need a little bit more of that energy built into how you design your sales force. Not, is it user? I'll tell you what, salespeople don't care about the CRM until they understand how it makes them more money. And more money than they're making now. And the dirty little secret about CRM, I don't think a lot of people look at it, is that when you look at your increase in revenues and the ROI of that CRM, I think the one metric that's overlooked is, are your salespeople, same salespeople, making more money in commissions after the CRM than before the CRM? And that's a report that matters. Because if you're going to implement any type of new features or functions or tools, have an ROI report based on, are your salespeople making more commissions? Now, that's going to be unfair to the software. Do you know why that's unfair to the software?
Why?
Have you ever looked at this? Is this all right? It's unfair to the software because salespeople don't make more money because they're more productive. They only make more money if they have to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a second to take in that profundity of that comment. You see, salespeople are, it's easy to find the financial thermostat that salespeople have in an organization. It's really easy. Just give them a new CRM. You watch, they'll sell the same amount before the new CRM as they did after the new CRM. Why? Because they only care about how much money they need to make. That's their goal. That's their target. Whatever roadblocks are in the way is irrelevant. The salesperson's mindset is must make money. And if you're not a salesperson with that mindset, you're fired. Like, you must make the money that you have to make to survive. It's like a buddy of mine used to manage a band called Jackal. Jackal is I refer to it as trailer park rock. I don't know if that's the right way to
somebody
say it.
who used to manage the band Jack.
Right? Do you know him?
I'm familiar with them, yes.
The band, right?
Yeah, with the chainsaw.
Yeah, I said, how did you make any money with those guys? He said, I kept them touring. Didn't they make it like, because they break shit on the road. They have to pay for it. The only way to, it's like a lot of tour managers only make money if the band's touring. So those are the guys feeding the band with drugs and bad decisions to keep them spending money on the road. So they got to keep back going on the road because the tour manager's got to make money. He's helping the band stay broke. Just like everybody else in show business. They got to keep the artist broke so they don't get lazy, because everybody makes money on production, not on past performance. So it's a different game. And so it's the same way with salespeople. You got to treat them like you're a tour manager. You got to get them geeked up. You got to find a way to give them Give them a new car and their insurance will triple. Then they got to make more money, right? Don't give a new car to a safe driver. That's crazy. Give a new car to a ding dong who'll take it. And then when he gets his insurance bill, he goes, shit, I got to make another $500. And that might tip him to the next point in their sales. I had a buddy of mine. He had done so well in sales. He paid off his house, his car, his credit card, everything was paid off. And he found that he got lazy. So his solution was to go buy a bunch of stock on margin. So this was back in the 80s and early 90s. He'd borrow, like late 80s, early 90s, he would borrow $50,000 on a stock. And then that, just having that debt triggered this psychotic work ethic in him. And he would just drive himself until he made enough money. He'd pay off the margin call. And he still had to pay his bills. It wasn't much, right? We'd pay off the margin call before it came due. And then when the stock bought, it just executed. Sometimes he made money, sometimes he didn't. He made all the money, and then he just kept upping the amount until it kept driving him until you know, it would keep pressing himself. But that's the button. Now since Katrina, he went completely psycho. He lives in Houston now. I love him to death, but he's gotten weird. Anyway, everything happens to people. So, but that was his psychosis, and I admire and respect this. You got to find, like, that's the report that matters. Did you find out what motivates some of these folks making, you know, they need to make a little more money? Because if they make more money, which is unlikely, right? It's more likely that they'll just take more time off in between sales. If you give them a system that's 50% faster, they'll work 50% slower just to make the same amount of money. So you got to find something inside to get them to recalibrate their income limitations. That's the soft skills side of reports, and knowing what's going to drive and motivate them. Because quite frankly, even if you did all the sales for them, they would do just enough work to keep the amount of money they got coming in, unless you can tip that thermostat. Anyway, but what's next is the right answer for that. Anyway, so what kind of reports? And by the way, Salesforce reports are some of the best on the market when it comes to CRM. That's what all the call stuff you got. What kind of what are some of the, well, let's now. If you're trying to tour the band, so to speak, right? Trying to get them to buy stuff, do stuff, have a baby on the road, whatever, like get them to get more debt, so they got to service it. You might play different games with reports. I think, what are some of the kind of, I guess we end up being sales focused, but I heard this, so I was listening today to these internet marketing guys talk about leads, hit them with everything. Every offer, every email, multiple series, don't worry until they buy, then become customers. And that's a good reason to keep your data separate, right? And use leads as leads, use contacts as at least prospective customers. You still have to define whether they're part of somebody who has bought or not bought. Here's a report I think would matter. Answer this question. Once a customer, always a customer. True or false?
False.
Why would you say false?
Because they get bad experience, they're no longer going to be a customer.
Say that again.
If they had a bad experience, let's say they have very consistent experience with you at the beginning, and then they had a really bad experience and they decided, wow, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, they can opt out as a customer, right?
Yeah.
They can opt out.
Mm-hmm.
Something bad happens and they opt out, but it doesn't always take something bad happens. One of the rationales this guy said for emailing your list of leads every day is like every day, 365 days a year, sometimes twice a day, like every day, email them. He says, if you're not emailing them today, who else did? And did they get money out of their pocket or did you? Right? Like, that's a good point. But that's not what the question was. The question was, once a customer, always a customer? So the answer is no. They could have a bad experience and leave as a customer.
Mhm.
In which case, you still have a shot at winning them back, right? Because they still were a customer.
Yeah.
That's different than having a lead that's never been a customer. You could do horrible, terrible things to them, whereas you'd be more careful, right? So reports about who's bought, and then who's bought and hadn't bought in a while. Frequency.
Yeah.
If if you're a restaurant owner and Grizzly Bob comes in, I'm using an exact quote from Dan Kennedy's book, No BS Direct Marketing. If Grizzly Bob comes in and he gets eggs and every day, and then one day he doesn't come in, that should trigger an alert. Regulars that haven't shown up today, alert. Like you can then do something because maybe somebody invited him to breakfast somewhere else, maybe he died, something happened to him, right? So reports that indicate your customers becoming a prospect, either for you or someone else. I have to go back and edit this video. There's good stuff in here, but it makes no logical sense. I'm pretty clear about that right now. So what's the last frequency? When's the last time you made a contact with them? When's the last time you, had an activity? I got a friend, I know the report he uses is, he doesn't use it. He's got a rule that says if you don't make contact with a lead in 30 days, that lead can be sold by anybody and you lose your half commission. So if a lead is yours and somebody sells it while you're not there at the store because it's a physical place,
So that would be like
they get half the commission otherwise, right? So, but they don't have a report that actually shows it.
Yeah.
They have and I know that because it was years ago when I looked at it and I didn't understand reports that well. And they weren't using them anyway. I set up automation instead of a report, which was kind of dumb. What's some other reports that might matter? Some things that might trigger behaviors, things that people might be interested in.
Well, if there's a contract and it's expiring, you can do a report with your formula field, where you can show that which ones, so say next 180 days or next 90 days, so you don't contact them too early.
You could stop.
Don't let someone else snatch it.
You could send out a notification when like on your email pop-up, when that customer calls, you could do a little pop-up message to the customer service rep and say, don't be an asshole. We wanted this guy to remember liking us when he's coming up to renew his contract. Like a little preparation, right? Like, hey, if you have a choice, sometimes you don't have a choice, but if you had a choice between being an ass and doing a good job, choose a good job, at least within the 90 days of contract expiration.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing.
Before they start looking for something else.
Right, because, oh, I'm so glad my contract's coming to an end. I can now leave these jokers, right?
Yeah.
Not that you wouldn't try to do that every time, but if you couldn't do it all the time, you could at least do it close to contract expiration. So that would be good, right? You could start taking actions to proactively, ensure renewal income. Because one of the most expensive things that companies deal with that they don't pay attention to is how much revenue they stop getting from customers. I know I don't pay that close attention.
Well, yeah, that's a good one. You can also do if you're doing sales or like people BDRs or something like that, your BDRs or even salespeople and they're converting leads, you can do touch base. You can do a summer, you can close the row details and you can do a sum of how many times within like an activity report, how often, how many times have they tried to touch base with their leads in the last week, last 2 weeks, and what's the conversion rate?
Yeah, you could actually find out what's the best. I was listening to something else today, and it was talking about like there's old training. He was setting up this idea that, here's, back in the old days, if you got really shitty sales training, they give you the book with all the scripts and you learn the product facts and all that kind of stuff, right? And then here's 200 opening lines that you could use at a door. And this guy said, after I'd been there about a couple of months, it was doing pretty well as a new sales guy. He said, did you memorize all 200? He says, yeah, I had to pass the test. I passed. Which ones you use? Just the 3 that work. So you could find out the 3 that work, right?
Yeah.
You could use reports to find out what are the 3 recipes that are working to get revenue, to keep revenue, and to get more referrals.
Especially if you're paying for add-ons like on-site insights, right? Like the conversation insights, if you have that turned on or something like that. Could
Say that again.
definitely- especially if you're paying for add-ons, like if you're paying for sales, I guess that's called sales engagement, HPS.
Oh yeah,
You can see what calls work, which ones, like which scripts work better than others.
yeah. First of all, is the add-on making any difference? Test
Yeah.
it. See, I've been writing a speech, and I said I was basically, I'm in this. This is the idea behind this one is for sales operations, right? So people in operations have to be the ones to see the link between sales, marketing, production, service, right? Rev ops. They've got to look at all that. So they have to bust down silos. They have to unite people. They have to herd cats, kittens, and they deal with, and they couldn't live without squirrels, interruptions, distractions, the whole 9 right? So they've got to deal with all these landmines and unintended consequences. And they said this, because everything ultimately comes down to handling the problems that the system didn't handle earlier, right? So, but as you start to get maturity and get, that's like any new startup, right? You're trying to find the right workflows, the right processes, the right set. But as you get more efficient, you have a system that's operating effectively to its most effect. That is, it's producing as much as it can produce the way it's working now, right? And the goal, if it did everything at the most effective, it would be self-sufficient. It would be a fully enclosed system, no hands required. It'd be fully hands-off, right? It'd be self-operating. And that means it's automated. So here's the thing that happens. Salespeople say shit like that. Executives hear shit like that, and they think, no people working for me, but the business still works. Hallelujah. How many people would rather run a business with no employees than with 1,000 employees? If you could get all the same work done as 1,000 people did without having a single one of them, nirvana. So they salivate at the mouth, and the biggest mistake you'll ever make is if you buy into this idea, I should automate everything.
Yeah, you can't, no.
Well, because you're gonna start it, you're gonna invent things that don't need invention, because you're not gonna make sure everything actually works. And you're gonna end up buying, every bright, shiny object. You're like swimming in a shark tank with 1,000 paper cuts. What I say, it's like you're walking through Central Park, holding all your money in cash in just a big pillowcase in front of you, all your cash. Like you're just a mark. You're I think I call it a SaaS sucker instead of a seer sucker, a SaaS sucker. You're hooked on all these software tools that are going to somehow save your business from you having to work. And you end up throwing away your hard-earned money for that that nirvana, that dream of not having to have to deal with as many, at least not the ones you don't like, right? At least getting rid of as many employees, humans as possible. And there is no shortage of companies working day and night, night and day after day, year after year, to build and present shiny objects.
Yeah.
There's just
Or they
tons
go
of,
like, you want that shiny object? We got a different shiny object.
you could be holding the shiny object in your hand, you own it, and then you purchase some other shiny object because you heard that sales pitch and the way they market it to you. You're like, yeah, that'll because you didn't know how to get it out of there. I got somebody who they pay $300 a month for web chat, so it enters the prospect right into Salesforce automatically.
Mm.
Salesforce does that. Salesforce does that.
Well, I remember we had that example where somebody must have talked them into having a huge contract to build this automation, all this like reporting automation and stuff, like just to avoid manufacturing cloud. And then as soon as you do something, he just kind of breaks it. But the thing is, there was a good chance that they went into that meeting with a consultant saying, I want manufacturing cloud. And the consultant's like, I got something better.
I got something better. Pay me,
Yeah.
not them. So you got a whole world of those people. You can't tell ups and downs. Your the shiny objects or thing, all of those things. And here's how I know this is true, because I've lived it myself. I am the shiny, I'm a SOSA. I'm shiny object syndrome anonymous. And I know what it's like. I get it. It's tough. You want the best technology you got on your finger. No, you don't. You want the one that works and works better. I'm convinced this is how it works in big. You think I'm talking about little companies. I'm talking about big companies. Like I went to Home Depot. I went to rent a tractor. I've rented before. I've rented tractors before. It hasn't always worked out for me. I'm not that skilled at it, but I still like doing it. So I go to the store. The tractor's there. I go ask the kid, I want to rent that tractor. He spends 20 minutes. Can't find it in the system. Can't find the tractor. I said, the tractor's out there, right on a piece of paper. I don't care. I know it's here. It's right there. I'll hook it up. I'm out. Old dude ended up finding it. This was funny. The young guy couldn't find it. The old dude could. Here's why, because old dudes know how to think better than young dudes sometimes. They had it listed wrong. The kid didn't change his approach. Not saying he's dumb, but he wasn't trained to a mastery level that is a level that's of sufficient competence.
He's not creative.
No, not even creative. He wasn't trained. He wasn't trained for how the system was designed. Here, right? So, because he didn't know how to search for or how they listed, he didn't know what the data looked like. Honestly, right? He didn't know how to look for that tractor. So, long story short, which is getting longer. Short story getting longer. Finally get the tractor rented. Then I go out to put it on my trailer hitch, and the part of the trailer hitch, it's on the trailer side that's got to hook onto my ball, that head. Couldn't get the trailer hooked to my trailer hitch. Spent an hour doing that. Fine. It's the only they call up. There's another tractor 4 miles away at a different store, 20 minutes away, because that's how long it takes to go 4 miles in Atlanta. And right? Tractor, same tractor, hook it up, rent it. It's in the system, got it, leave. All's good. I bring the tractor back the next day. Life is good. And I pay the $350, whatever it was. for the tractor. And one morning, the next morning, I'm up about 3 a.m. I'm up at 3 a.m. I'm literally on my phone doing something. I was awake. Something woke me up. I was awake putting my phone. I get a notification about an $1,100 charge on my credit card.
Jesus, did they go like, you know, return the tractor?
I'm like, hey, $1,100 charge. No, I don't. I opened the Home Depot app. I'm right on it. I'd send a message to customer service. Boom, 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 boom. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Systems don't talk. Fine. I go to the store. I call up. I call up. Oh, wait a minute. Back up. When I rented the tractor, when I was leaving the Home Depot, after I dropped off the tractor, I called up the Home Depot, the first Home Depot store, and I said, hey, I just want to make sure you guys canceled the reservation, right? At some point, part of the story. I even called up to confirm it. That's absolutely, it's been canceled. Then they got the charge. Just a little bit of the story miss. Can fix it in editing. Well, I finally called the store. I talked to a store manager, assistant manager. Okay, rental department, if you don't know, Home Depot sits on the side, on one side of the store. And there's a bunch of other computers in the middle of the store, and there's a bunch of computers in the back of the store behind the door of the employee area, right? I get the charge. I call the manager up. And so she had to undo the contract. She had to cancel the contract and then refund my charges. Cancel the contract, refund my charges. She was great. 45 minutes later, she literally had to go to all 3 points in the store. She had to go from her office to the rental place because that's where the contracts were. Cancel the contract, then send a message to somewhere else, go literally back to her office or go to customer service, ring up the charge, the refund, and then go back to her office to close the case with me. No shit. She had to go to all 3 different spots in this huge box store. What does that mean? Too many shiny objects, assholes. Like you assholes at Home Depot, you have Salesforce. Why isn't get it all to work on Salesforce? Made that poor woman go all those different places because, right? And it all because they want better technology. Yet the people and all the money you spent and all the time I spent was totally counterproductive to all the money you saved with the new system.
Yeah.
You didn't save any money.
Yeah, so instead of paying
you
for
keep
some
making things better,
add-ons.
people can't catch up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
since
there ought to
we're
be a-
ranting about dumb retail employees, I once saw a cashier couldn't scan a pint of ice cream, refused to sell it, and then just stuck it on the counter to melt.
Oh, Patrick's still mad about that. Because
Barcode wouldn't scan, so can't sell it.
She didn't even do the bare basic, which is read the barcode and try to type it in. She just went, can't sell it.
It's like, I didn't bring the pint of ice cream to pay you for it. Like, I didn't bring it with me. I got it off your shelf. Clearly, or just give it to me. You won't sell it to me. Just give it to me.
Why? And that is
she was just really lazy. She wanted to leave, I think, but instead of because she stood there and argued that she's not going to do it, and so just typed in the numbers.
Clearly lazy.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but nobody, and look, training doesn't solve problems. Training doesn't solve problems. It only supports the solution. The problem is all these executives, they keep getting, because they're dumbasses, they keep getting sold better instead of use it better. Use it better. until you can't buy something new until you know how to use what you got. Unless what you got's just completely just working you backwards. But for the most part, if you got something that works, work it.
Yeah.
You could get more sales just by tricking your salespeople into it and helping them develop their own mental mind, get them in debt, help them get a divorce, have a kid out of wedlock. All those things are good for salespeople to make more money because they have to. Give them incentives, work with them, work on their psychology. And then you work on your psychology about how you're going to use your reports to actually, when you look at a report, you understand that the data is good. It's answering a very specific question about what you need to do next in your business. So a lot of people can't wrap their heads around that. I know I struggle with it because you don't even know what you do in your business. You don't have your behaviors defined really well. How do I know? I've spent 20 years as a performance consultant. And if you don't understand how things work, build it on paper before you build plastic. Paper before plastic is a mantra of you got to document the process, which is why you need a good business analyst. I said it right because we're on recording.
Well, you need a good business analyst, and
you got to analyze your. I tell you, I got a lot out of the. If you haven't gotten the business analyst certification, take all the objects, take all that stuff. The trailheads again, such good stuff. I'm really amazed how much more I learned about some of the things in business analysis. And I just realized I'm shooting this to the wrong channel.
Oh no.
No, am I?
Let's check.
It's tragic. I think it's tragic. I think I'm on the wrong channel. Doesn't matter, but it's good. I think it's good content. But the shiny object syndrome gets you. Or there's a whole other one like, oh, I don't have to know this stuff. I could pay somebody. I could pay a partner. I could pay Salesforce to implement all this for me. And I just tell them what I want and they give it to me. Of course, they're going to give you what you want, you idiot. It makes them more money to build it dumb than it does to build it smart.
Yeah, and it's a thing too, because at the end of the day,